Yo, what's up guys, Traum here, and today we continue with the chief bosses. This time we'll go over Auster boss in the Continental Challenge. I do have 3 teams for you, 2 poison teams, one of them is 100% free to play, the other one is using 2 legendary heroes, but only one of them is fully scroll, the other one is not scroll at all. And then I have one more team for you that's not focusing on poison and debuffs, and can still do over 200 million damage. So let's go right into it.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go.
Alright guys, welcome to the Continental Challenge. First I will explain the boss arena mechanics, then I will show you the boss skills, and then I will show you my teams. I will start with the 100% free to play, then with the improved poison team, and then I will show you the third team that's not focusing on poison. So wait for that one. So let's start with the boss arena mechanics. So for each debuff stack on the boss, their damage taken is increased by 4% up to 60 stacks. This is why you kind of want to use poisons, because you can start up to 40 poison stacks on a boss, which means a lot of damage, right? So poisoners are very good for this boss, at least in my opinion. The next part is after an ally resist or dispel 1 debuff stacks, they gain 1 inspellable stack or 1% damage reduction, lasting indefinitely up to 30 stacks. This is amazing because if you dispel these debuffs that the boss does on his ultimate, the frost debuff, you will get tanky, right? You will have 30% damage reduction. So very good for your front line. And lastly, each hero can be deployed once per round. Alright, so that's the boss arena mechanics. Now let me show you the boss. So let's go over the passive first. So when shooting arrows with basic attacks or skills, the hero fires a tracking arrow at up to 2 enemies inflicted with the frost, dealing cold damage to them with 100% chance of inflicting frost for 5 seconds. Damage dealt by tracking arrows also recharges the ultimate energy by 2.5%. If I'm reading this correctly, you want to, cleanse the frost so he's not shooting at your heroes that are inflicted with the frost, right? So if there is nobody inflicted with the frost, the boss cannot do this, right? If I'm reading this correctly. So now the first skill fires 3 arrows at random enemies, each dealing cold damage with 100% chance of ignoring 100% of their defense. This is disgusting. This is why you want to build a lot of HP on your front line, right? Because this boss is ignoring your defense. And it's random. So, even your backline, you need to be, a little bit of HP, some survivability in them. Don't focus too much on the defense. The second skill is the same, and then on his ultimate, jumps into the air and shoots a powerful arrow, dealing cold damage to enemies within range, with 100% chance of inflicting frost for 10 seconds. The tracking arrows attached to this skill will fire at all enemies within range and deal higher damage. And it's this star shape. So you want to put your 3 heroes, like the tankier heroes, in one group. So he will do this ultimate on shooting only them, right? You don't want your squishy heroes to be attacked by this ultimate, because it can kill you. So that's the boss skills, the arena mechanics, and now let me show you my teams. So I will start with the 100% free to play first. Alright guys, so here is the first team. As you see, I'm using Furbat, I'm using Nathaniel, Corin, then Ellie, and lastly Dench. Dench is the best DPS from these heroes, even though he's rare. Now let me show you how they build. I don't think I have any skill timings for this one. I will start with the Corin. He has 43k HP, almost 16k defense, almost 5k attack, 143 enlightenment, and then 255 accuracy. For this boss, around 260 accuracy is what you need, right? So focus around 260 accuracy for your poisoners to land the debuffs, to land the poisons constantly. Then I'm using Puppetry Inspiration on him for the accuracy resistance, and when the Weaver casts an ultimate skill, allies of the same element gain 10% ultimate energy. Any target can only gain this effect once within 15 seconds. So he's boosting my ultimate energy, right, of my team. Then I'm using the Dawnpipe Organ on him, because range heroes in the team gain 10% of the Weaver attack, which is why I'm focusing on a lot of attack on him, right? So he will boost my Dench and my Ellie. So that's my Corin. Now let's go over Furbat. He has 86k HP, almost 3k defense, 2k attack, 301 accuracy. And I'm using the Emissary Whisper for the accuracy skill haze, and when the Weaver successfully inflicts a debuff, all allies deal 10% more damage for 10 seconds. So whenever he inflicts debuff, which he does on his ultimate, he puts attack penalty too. Very good debuff for this boss, because this boss does a lot of damage. So whenever he does this, whenever he inflicts the attack penalty, my team will do 10% more damage. So very, very good gear on somebody like Furbat, for example, in this team. Now let's go over, and one more. I'm using the Solar King Horn. When the Weaver heals an ally, increase the ally's damage by 5% for 10 seconds up to 3 stacks. This is fine because he has healing on his battle skill. So he is healing only Corin in my setup, as you see here. He's healing Corin and he's healing Nathaniel. So it's not the best, but it works, right? It squeezes a little bit more damage out of Corin. So it gives my team a little bit more damage. But if you don't have this, you can use something like the Rift Hourglass for him to cast more often, which means more damage your team will do because of the Emissary Whisper. Or if you struggle with survivability, you can use something like the Scrap Amulet, stuff like that. So that's my first build. Now let's go over Nathaniel. So he has almost 62k HP, 3k defense, now 1.9k attack, 259 enlightenment, and that's pretty much it. And some skill haste as well, 29 skill haste. I'm using the Brotherhood Spirit on him for the defense, and when the Weaver casts an ultimate skill, all allies elemental damage dealt increased by 15% for 10 seconds. So another boost of my damage, right? And then one tier of the equipment I'm using is the Devout Prayer, the mythical gear. When the Weaver grants a shield, the target deals 12% more damage for 10 seconds. So another way to increase my damage, right? And he does shielding on his ultimate. So on his ultimate, he hits the enemy. The more enemies he hits, the more shield will do. And then he puts defense up 1 to all allies for 10 seconds. So very good hero for shielding. So something like the Devout Prayer is amazing mythical gear on him. Now let's go over Ellie. He's built a little bit different because I'm focusing on accuracy on him as well to land the poisons. So I want him to do damage through his poisons, right? Because on his battle skill, he gains attack speed up 1 for 6 seconds, and then he shoots additional crossbow bolt at random enemy, dealing 120% attack poison damage with 100% chance of inflicting 1 stack of poison for 15 seconds. So for only 6 seconds, every time he shoots, you know, he has 100% chance of inflicting poison. So he will do a lot of poisons, which means a lot of damage, right? So that's why I'm focusing more on accuracy on him. And also I'm using the Witch Remains on him. So he has 60k HP, 1.4k defense, 3.3k attack, 40% crit rate, 81% crit damage. You don't focus too much on it, but if you can get 100% and like 150 crit damage, it works. You squeeze a little bit more damage out of him. And then 289 accuracy to land those poison debuffs, and some skill haste as well. And for the gear, I'm using all mythical pieces. So I'm using the Magic Crystal Refinement. The Weaver gains additional attack equal to 300% of current accuracy, which he has some of accuracy, so it will boost his damage. Then I'm using the Stonebreaker, a new mythical gear for Season 2. When the Weaver successfully inflicts a debuff, permanently increase the hero's attack by 1.5% up to 20 stacks. Very good for poisoners in my opinion, because they will be inflicting a lot of poisons, which means a lot of stacks of attack up, right? The 1.5% times 20, that's pretty good. That's 30% attack, right? So pretty good mythical gear on your poisoners. Now I'm using Strike Deep Unprepared. The Weaver does 3% increased damage to enemies under defense penalty. And then lastly, I'm using the Bloodshade Mark. At the start of the battle, the Weaver gains an attack bonus equal to 20% of the attack of the ally with the highest attack, excluding him. So that's my Ellie. And last is Dench, and he is built with 43k HP. I would suggest a little bit more, like 50k HP would be better, because sometimes the boss can hit him and kill him at the end, which means lower damage, right? So if you can build him with a little bit more HP, I would highly suggest it. Then 1.3k defense, 4.2k attack, 266 enlightenment. If you can get more enlightenment, it's even better because his damage scales out of enlightenment. And then 220 accuracy. You need 250, I have 220 plus my 50 from the Psychic Core, so it's plenty. So I'm fine like this. Then I'm using the Queen's Fan for the attack percentage, and the derivative damage dealt by the Weaver gains a damage bonus between the distance between him and the enemy, right? So it's 7% per tile with the damage bonus capped at 5 tiles. So the further away he is from the boss, the more damage he will do, because he does a lot of derivative damage. And for the gear, I'm using same as on Ellie, except for the Crystal Refinement, I'm using the Fearless Challenge. The Weaver does 16% increased damage to enemies with max HP higher than the hero by 50%, which the boss does. So that's the team. I will show you quick run. I will skip, I will show you like the first minute, then I will skip to the end and show you the results, how much damage it can do. Don't forget, this is 100% free to play. It's very hard, this boss, it's kinda hard for 100% free to play teams, but it can still do some decent damage, as you will see. Like Denji is already doing 170k damage per second, Ellie is at 70k damage per second, but they will get a little bit higher at the end, you will see. So let me skip forward. Alright guys, we are almost at the end, we have 1 minute left, and we are already at the 84 million damage. So not the best, but it's still pretty good for 100% free to play. As you see, Denji is at 180k damage per second, Ellie is almost at 100k damage per second, which is not that bad. And it's around 100 million damage. For 100% free to play team, I would say it's not that bad. But if you have any kind of legendary poisoners, oh, the damage will go much higher. As you will see, my second team, I will use some legendary heroes, and the damage goes much higher, you will see. So if you have any legendary hero, any poison legendary hero, this team will work, right? So let me show you one more thing, the talents, because I have to change some talents, especially for Dej. I was using this one, the middle one, the rising momentum. I don't know why. I was thinking, okay, the more damage he does on his ultimate, the better. No. You don't want to use this. You want to use this, the war heart. When dealing damage to the target, inflicted with negative effects, increase damage dealt by 10%. This is very important because poisoners, they will always inflict poison, so the enemy will be under debuff, which means they will do 10% more damage on everything, right? Not only on the ultimate, not only on the battle skill, but on everything. So very important is this talent, right? The war heart. The war heart. Very important. I'm not sure if this is the best talents you can use for Dange or for Ellie, as you see here. Maybe you can use something that does more damage. I was playing with the talents a lot, and I'm still trying to figure out, but these talents for me seems like they do the most damage, right? Then Corin as well. So those are the talents on my DPS, right? Very important in my opinion to mention it, because before I was doing like 70 million damage, now I'm doing around 100 million damage. So there's a huge improvement just because I switched some talents, right? Now let me show you the second team. So here is my second team that's not 100% free to play. As you see, a sub Dange for Vikana, very good legendary hero, especially for this boss. She will do a lot of damage. And then for tankiness, sub Furbat, and I start using Tolver. Even though he's not scroll, he's fully talented, but he's not scroll. And he's really good because he does accuracy penalty 2 and attack penalty 2, which means one more debuff on the boss, right? Because Furbat did only the attack penalty, but Tolver can do attack penalty and accuracy penalty 2. So he's a little bit better, right? So one more debuff on the boss, which means 4% more damage, right? Because of the boss arena mechanics, as you see here. For each debuff stuck on a boss, the damage taken increased by 4%. So one more debuff means 4% more damage. So let me show you the builds, because I changed it a little bit. So for Corin, I changed the build for the Emissary Whisper now. So he has 37k HP only, 2k defense, but he has 5.7k attack, 147 enlightenment, and then 238 accuracy. This is fine, plus 50 from your psychic core. That's 288, so you're fine, right? And the Emissary Whisper for the boost of damage. And then I'm using the Fearless Challenge as well for a little bit more damage. And then I'm using the Tone Pipe Organ on him to boost the attack, right, of my Ellie and Vikana. Also, I didn't change Nathaniel. Nathaniel is the same, but Towler is a little bit different. So my Towler has 65k HP, 2.1k defense, 2.7k attack, 108 enlightenment, 282 accuracy, only 6 skill haste, that's fine. And then I'm using the Puppet Inspiration on him, right, to boost the ultimate energy of everybody else. He also is using the Rift Hourglass for the skill haste, which is why I don't have him scroll. So if you don't have him scroll, any hero, if you're using any hero that you don't have scroll and you want to some accuracy on him, I would really recommend to use the Rift Hourglass, because that way you can, do what he needs to do without having the scrolls, right? Because usually the scrolls means more frequent casting, right? Here is damage, initial charge, and then initial and complete recharge by 6 seconds, right? So Rift Hourglass will kind of bypass this because you don't need that much damage from Tower, which is why it's working. Same for his battle skill, right? Only damage, and then recharge. So this is why the Rift Hourglass is really, really good on him for this boss, right? Or for this team. Ellie is the same. And then my Vikana build is the same build that I was using for Dange. So she has 65k HP, 1.4k, almost 1.5k defense, 5.2k attack, 266 enlightenment, 0 skill haste, and then 220 accuracy. Once again, plus 50 for the psychic core, which means 270 accuracy, and you're fine. Because here, as you see, you only need 260 accuracy and 260 resistance. That's what is recommended, right? To land your debuffs and to resist very often. So that's the team. Once again, I don't have any skill timings. The only thing that I changed here is that I'm using the Tidal Surge. I was using Tidal Surge before, but you can use the Ocean Wrath as well if you do enough damage. And then the only change I forgot on Nathaniel. I'm really sorry. On Nathaniel, I'm not using the vest on him, the Aurelian vest, but I'm using the Solar King Horn because he boosts the healing, right? So when the time he dispels a debuff, he heals a little bit, right? So when a buff expires or is dispelled from any target on the field, heals the ally with the lowest crit HP by 5% max HP, and this effect can only be triggered once every 1 second, right? So every time he dispels or the buff is away, expires, he heals someone, right? So this is really good for the Solar King Horn. It gave me like another 5 to 10 million damage. So if you find with survivability, you can squeeze a little bit more damage by doing something like this. So that's the team, and now finally let me show you the run. I'll show you the first minute of it, and then I will skip to the end, right? So you don't need to be here for the whole 5 minutes, even though it's sped up. Alright guys, we're almost at the end, and my Vikara is doing around 270k damage per second, Ellie is around 150k damage per second, and then Corin around 100k damage per second. We still have 1 minute left, and the boss is around 140 million damage. The best I did so far was around 180 something million damage. So I wonder if we get a little bit better, but it doesn't look like we will. It will be like 180 something. So it's not completely like 200 million damage. Maybe if you can squeeze a little bit more stats from these heroes, you know, a little bit more damage, a little bit more enlightenment, you will be doing more. But around 100 million damage is decent, right? It was a little bit worse. 100 something was the best, 180 million damage. I will do like 2 quick combats to see if we can get a little bit higher. Excuse me. So I wonder. So let me do 2 quick combats. Maybe we can get a little bit more out of it. But 100 million damage is decent. It's not the best, but it's decent, right? Especially if it's like your 5th or 6th boss, right? So if you focus on 3-4 bosses and then use something like this for the 5th or 6th boss just to do some damage, not 200 million damage, but at least some damage, I think it's fine, right? Can we get 190, 180? I hope I saved it, but I did 100 something, 180, 181, maybe 182 million damage, something like that. Okay, 186 million damage. So one of the best damage you can get, I guess, from this team. Maybe you can go a little bit better if you squeeze a little bit more stats, right? A little bit more damage or something like that. So those are my 2 poison teams. And now I do have one team that's not focusing on poison and too many debuffs. And it can do 200 million damage. So let's see what it is, right? And it is my Flora team, guys. Yeah, that's right. I'm using Flora for this. I'm using 3 Wildfire heroes. And then I'm using Adolphus and Repercas as well for a lot of debuffs, right? So let me show you how them built. So my Repercas is at 87k HP, 4k defense, 351 accuracy, and 19 skill haste. I'm also using the Tundra Tenacity on him for the HP accuracy, and when the Weaver gains 1% ultimate energy each time taking damage. So whenever he takes damage, he will get ultimate energy, which means he will be casting much often, right? Plus I'm using the Rift Hourglass on him to do as many ultimates as possible, because on his ultimate, he hits 3 times, and he has these 5 debuffs that he can place randomly, right? So he do 3 attacks, which means 3 random debuffs from this pool of 5 debuffs, right? So if he can cast quite often, you might actually put all 5 debuffs on a boss, right? So it is possible, but you need a lot of skill haste. So that's my Repercas. Now let me show you my Adolphus. He has 67k HP, 2.1k defense, 1.9k attack, 233 enlightenment, and only 12 skill haste. And I'm using the Puppet Inspiration on him for the accuracy, resistance, and the boosting of my ultimate. And also, once again, the Devout Prayer for any kind of shielder, right? To get the damage buff, right? Whenever he grants a shield. So that's the Adolphus. Now, Erich, I don't know. He has 48k HP, 1.7k defense, 7.2 attack, 40% crit rate, 115 crit damage. If you can get 100% crit rate, do it. But you want to focus on attack, because you want to use the Dawnpipe Organ on him, right? To boost the Flora and Felicity attack. And I'm using the Brotherhood Spirit, so whenever he casts, all allies elemental damage increased by 15% for 10 seconds. So very good for him. Now my Felicity, she has 49k HP, 1.5k defense, 3.1k attack, 94% crit rate. You want 100% crit rate because whenever she crits, she gains ultimate energy, I think 3% or something like that. On her passive, gains 3% ultimate energy when battle skill and ultimate skill triggers critical hit, which is why you want 100% crit rate on her to cast as often as possible. I'm using the Emissary Whisper on her, so whenever she puts debuff, my whole team will do 10% more damage, which she will do because she has the Witch Remains on her for the defense penalty, and also on her ultimate, she inflicts defense penalty as well. That can stack, right? This can stack up to 8 times. And each stack does 2% defense reduction. So very, very good hero. And now my main DPS, Flora, she has 40k HP, 1.8k defense, 7.1k attack, 305 enlightenment, 12 skill haste, and I'm using all the mythical gears on her. So I'm using the Bloodshade Mark, the Strike the Unprepared, Dead Record, and Chaos Symbiosis. And also I'm using the Queen's Fan on her. I don't have her exclusive artifact, which I wish I have, because that one is amazing. You know, it will boost her damage, like double her damage pretty much. So let me show you how this team works. I don't have any skill timings, I believe, or maybe I do. No, I do not. So I don't have any skill timings for it. You can use the Tidal Surge, or maybe you can use something like the Wave Breaker, because this will boost the Flora damage even more, right? And this team can do 200 million damage, you will see. So let me do a challenge first. I will show you just the beginning. So you want your Flora to cast. Ideally, after Flora, everybody else cast, because the more stacks on a boss, the more damage she will do. She's already doing 300, almost 300k. Oh, yeah, almost 300k damage per second sometimes. But that's not it. It will go much higher. See, 500k damage per second. So she can solo DPS this with only a couple of debuffs, right? Because I have 5 stacks from Felicity. I can get up to 8 stacks if she rolls well from the wild dices. Some debuffs and some debuffs from Replikas, right? And that way you can do a lot of damage with your Flora. So if you are not using your Wildfire heroes, and if you have them and you're not using them for any chief boss, I would recommend to use it for this one, because it kind of works, right? 200 million damage is pretty good. So let me skip to the end. Alright guys, we are almost at the end. We have 40 seconds left. Flora is doing around 550, 560k damage per second. And we are at almost 200 million damage. 200 million damage right now, and we still have 20 seconds left. So this team can do easily 200 million damage. It's not something too crazy. It's not like 240, 230 million damage, but it's 200 million damage nonetheless. And it's Wildfire heroes, which are not that useful right now for the bosses, at least in my opinion. They are, you know, the Ice Blast heroes, the Thunderbolt heroes, the Burn heroes. They are much better in the season 2. But for this boss, they work. They work really well for this boss. Maybe you can even sub Replikas for another Wildfire hero to do even more damage. Maybe it will be enough. I'm not 100% sure. I will do some testing and let you know in the comments. But, you know, pretty good team for the Auster boss, in my opinion. So there you have it, guys. My 3 teams for the Auster boss. I hope you found this video helpful, entertaining. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe. It means a lot to me, guys. And thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.